Hello, my name is Tim Lahili, and in this video, we're going to do an overview of the new features available in 7.4. This is the most exciting release we've had in a long time in terms of both the leap forward in functionality and ease of use and speed and responsiveness of the platform. So I really think you're going to love what's available at this point in Quincy, and I think you're going to see it as a truly, truly mature version of the product. So we're going to talk about investigator, reviewer, and viewer. I'm going to kind of assume you've never seen these interfaces before. Even though they were available in 7.3, they have been transformed in 7.4, and so we're going to, do 5 minutes on each of them. Investigator, for those of you that don't know, is a simplified interface geared for forensics investigators. And when I say simplified, I mean simplified relative to the desktop, the old Quincy interface. The key features we're going to go over: the case list, dashboard, and the reviewing of documents, which is a quick overview of all of the investigator. But as we do it, we'll point out kind of what's new in Quincy 7.4. We're going to do the same thing in review. Review is a simplified interface for eDiscovery reviewers, but you don't have to be eDiscovery to use it. Maybe you just don't want the complexity of investigator, and so you come into review. Again, whatever your preference is. The key features, we're going to talk about the case list. We're going to talk about batches. We're going to talk about the review overview tab, which is really exactly the same as it was in 7.3. And we're going to go into review. Now, a lot of the changes you're going to see in review in the review interface are the same as what you will see in Investigator, but we're going to do them just, again, to be thorough in this video. And then finally, as I said, we're going to talk about the viewer. And the viewer, I mean the actual viewing of documents. We have a new capability there, and it's really transformative in terms of the speed offered. So let's get into it. As with 7.3, you have the 3 login buttons. So we're going to go Administrator. We're going to start with Investigator. And this is going to dump us into the familiar case list. With few exceptions, it's pretty similar to what you had in 7.3. The exception really being, I believe, the create case and case admin capabilities are new. And certainly there's more functionality offered in terms of actions, adding evidence, deleting a case, or seeing the jobs available. You only have these 2 capabilities if you have the permissions associated with them. But again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these things because there are videos dedicated to them. But if you wanted to create a case, you could just click on this, and it will open an easy wizard for creating a case. You can add custodians, evidence, import file. Actually, import file is grayed out. You must first create a case before you import evidence into it if you're using load files. But again, there are videos on that. So let's just exit out of this. And I'm going to go into my demo case, which is the case that installs with the application. So you guys should have access to a similar case. I've added a lot of evidence to mine, so it's not exactly the same as what you'll see. But you immediately drop into the dashboard, which has a pretty solid overview of the case. There's a search bar. You can search on whatever you want in the case, and it will update all this information. But you can see the labels applied, the bookmarks in the case, the evidence in the case. If you want detail about the evidence, you can double click on this, and it will give you basic information. Summary of the case, all the geolocation data, all the file category data. If there are message applications, web artifacts, URLs, specifically categories of URLs, and image recognition. I don't have the AI installed on this machine, so I can't run image recognition, but if you do, it will categorize your data based on the image recognition engine. So once you have what you want, you can either view the data or apply a filter. Let me show you how you apply a filter. Let's say I just want to see graphics. All our geolocation data is graphics. So when we click apply, let me show you. We've got web artifacts, geolocation data, and file categories. When I click apply, all this should update. And now only graphics, no web artifacts, because our web artifacts did not come from our graphics. But you can still see our map is fully populated because, again, all our geolocation data comes from graphics. If I decided, heck, I don't want that filter applied, I can remove it here, or I can remove it here. And it will return us back to our unfiltered state. Same is true with searches. Searches will filter this as well. So let's go to our view data. Now, our view data really meaningfully changed, and I love this new interface. It uses tiles instead of the old fixed format we had. So each one of these is a tile. It can be moved around if you want, your grid on this side and your viewer on that side. There you go. It's a little finicky, to be honest, right? For example, it doesn't look like it's letting me, oh yeah, I was just doing it wrong. But you can move it around. If you want to add more tiles, you come up here. This was true in 7.3 as well, but it looks a little bit different now because we have this tiling. So let's say we want to add, I don't know, we'll do bookmarks. The bookmark panel, now we have a bookmark panel there. We have our grid, and then we have our viewer. We can resize these things if we want. We can move them all around. It's basic tiling. To be clear, like I said before, it is a little finicky in terms of what it offers you. It's not as friendly as a desktop tiling might be for a desktop application, but you can pretty much do everything you want. You just got to be a little patient with it. Let me go ahead and hide the bookmarks because I just want the viewer and the grid on the screen right now. But again, you can see all the stuff that's available. Most of this was available. I think all of it was available in 7.3. New in 7.4 is this sort of nice layout of additional tools available to you. You can have a filter which slides in from the left. These are all our familiar filters, our quick filters, our file category filters. We've got label filters, and we've got Evidence Explorer filters. And this little folder indicates you can click on it and go deeper. This file indicates that it's sort of all is available. There's no deeper on this one. You can pin this if you want it to be sort of part of your interface and you can interact with it a lot. If you don't want that, you can unpin it, obviously, and close it. We have bookmarking and labeling available here, and this I really like. If you go to a document, see what's available, see these are sort of all checked. If you go to a document, it will reflect what's checked of that document. Hopefully you saw that those changed. We go to this one. I think this one might be changed again. Yep, changed. And so it'll tell you what's available what labels have been applied to this document. If you want to apply another one, you literally just click on this box and that goes ahead and applies that label. It's a really simple, easy way to apply labels to documents. Let's go ahead and close this. This sort of out of place looking icon allows you to set the time zone for your grid. And then the timeline, which again was available in 7.3, but we've made some improvements in terms of how it looks and a little bit more responsive. So hopefully you'll find that really useful. But that's sort of the new capability of Investigator and the new look layout. If you run a search, let's just do that. You'll see it pops up here. I believe, again, that's similar to how it was in 7.3, but hopefully a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer. You can remove it by just clicking on this. And that will take us back to where we were. So that's Investigator. Let me hop out of this. I got a ton to show you, so I'm going to hop into Review, and we'll do that. And then we'll talk about the viewer. And again, way too much to cover in one video. So just trying to do sort of simple justice at best. If you're interested in any of these things, look for the individual videos. So we've come into Review. What is new here is, again, the case list is the same with some added capabilities, but and you have the same create case and admin you had back on Investigator, only now you have batch administration and batch review. You only see batch administration if you are an admin and you have that capability. Batch review, everybody sees. Let's quickly go into batch administration, which again has its own video, so I'm not going to do it justice here. But just quickly, I'm going to select a case. You can select multiple cases if you want. Are you trying to get an overview? Now, normally you would not have this many batches or these many types of batches in a case. I have this because I've been testing a lot, this functionality, running a lot of different scenarios. So I have sort of a mess of batches. But you can see all the batches you have, the state they're in, the percent completed, and who they are assigned to. You can edit who they're assigned to, and you can assign them to somebody else. You can delete them. You can assign a due date for them. You can create new batches over here. And you can do that by, I'm pretty happy with this. You can batch up all objects in the case, all unassigned objects. This is really handy because you first get a case, you first get a bunch of objects, you batch them up, you assign them to the reviewers, and then you add new evidence to the case. It's kind of a pain to try to assign that new evidence to batches. So we allow you to just click here and it'll assign all unassigned data into batches. And you can assign those to reviewers, or you can just create them by size. So if I want all the batches to be 1,000 documents, it won't assign them to reviewers, but it will just chunk it up by 1,000, increments of 1,000. You can assign due dates and all that kind of stuff. Again, there's this videos dedicated to this stuff alone, so not going to go over every feature. But you can see here are the different batches and the various states of coding that they're in and how they've been coded. You can see there are 3 batches associated with the number review set. 46,000 documents have not been assigned. 8 documents have the number 5 in them. And 1 document has the number 787, which of course is meaningless, but just to get the idea, you would have some meaningful values you're tracking. And so you'd be able to see that here. And then you can see sort of very few of my documents have been reviewed. So this looks like everything is unreviewed, but if you had reviewed documents, you'd see them here. And you can see who's been assigned the documents. Well, these are unassigned and these have been assigned to the administrator. And again, batch status. Let's hop back out. Oh, I don't want to log out. I want to hop back in. I want to just look at batch review. This is where a user might come to see the batches he or she has been assigned for review. And he again or she can choose the case they want to look at and then the batch they want to look at. And they can see the status of that. Let's say they want to see this check 001. There are 1,458 documents in that, and of that, only 7 documents are complete. And you can come down here and again look at the same batches in a different way. All the batches available, even ones not assigned to me, unassigned. I could check this batch out if I wanted. I could check this batch in if I wanted. These are the new batches, the completed batches, not started, and unassigned. And you can click through those, and here's just a simple calendar with all the batches laid out by due date. So let's go back, and then let's go straight into review. Now, this is going to look a lot like, well, this first page we're going to come to, this dashboard, this is exactly like it was in 7.3. So I'm not going to spend a heck of a lot of time here. It's got the same export report capabilities you had before. Let's go into the actual review side. And again, we're seeing the same thing we saw just a few minutes ago in Investigator, where you have the tiling. And that's really the big change. The tiling and the ability to move stuff around and, all the stuff I've shown you. But it works the same as it did before. If you run a search here, you can see there's the search and all the documents responsive to that are going to come up. If we click on one, we can go ahead and see that document. Now it's going to find all the instances of federal because that's what I'm searching on. Sort of easy peasy stuff. The panels available are smaller and more geared towards document review. You've got a coding panel. You've got a bunch of panels related to document metadata, productions, whether it's duplicates, threading, history, metadata, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, All that's similar to 7.3, but again with the added capability of the paneling. So let me spend a few minutes here showing you new improvements on the viewer that I think really take this thing to the next level. This viewer should look the same as what you had in 7.3. But let me remove the word federal here. And let me find some Excel documents. Because Excel documents will expose the new viewer that I want to show you guys. So what we had was the existing viewer was really good for PDFs, is really good for PDFs, and so we use it for PDFs. But the bandwidth it required to move documents across was heavier than was permissible for Excel documents. So we've moved to this viewer, which is just wicked fast. You can look at how quick it goes from document to document. It's just fantastic. It's a whole new world in terms of viewing. You can still, if you want to, you can still go back to that old the old reviewer if you like that. You click here on PDF and it would take you back into that old viewer. We're going to have to wait here as it PDFs this document. PDFing an Excel document is a bit of an adventure. So there we go. This is the PDF. And then if you wanted to see it, the old rendered view, which is what we used to call it, or what we still call it, in fact, you could go ahead and click here, and it will bring that up. There you go, the rendered view. Now, this is wonderful. This is a nice interface also, but you can see as I click from sheet to sheet, a little bit slower, a little bit clunkier. There are advantages to this. For example, if you had a graphic here, you could click and move it. This is really interactive. It shows you all the formulas. It's a little bit more dynamic in terms of what it offers. It's actually literally a true Excel environment. And that may be needed for you. So you can always come back to this. But in general, we really like what this one offers. And just in terms of its speed, and simplicity. This is just fantastic. Really, really look at how quick that is. Look at how nice it is. So anyway, that's the viewer. So I gave you a good overview, hopefully, of what's available in 7.5. There's just so much. This is the release. Quincy really has come into its own here. If you don't like this release, you don't like Quincy, the web interface, so be it. But I'm so excited about this. I want you to give it a try, play around with it, and I think you will like it as much as we do. Anyway, again, I am Tim Lee Healy, and hopefully this video was helpful. Thank you very much for your time.